All right, man.
There we go. How much? I thought we were recording.
No. I just gave you permissions. So you have how many kids do you have doing online schooling?
Right now we have got 5.
Yep. Same for me. I have 5 kids doing online schooling. What are they saying about online schooling in Alaska? Like requirements, expectations, so forth.
So I will get you a better answer than the one that I have. Okay, so my wife is a teacher. Okay, and
Okay.
she's the reason that she is not. The reason I'm recording at the house and I'm not at the studio right now is because she is part of her school's hiring board. By the way, what are you drinking?
Man, I feel bad because I always plug things. My cousin in Maine owns a pizzeria/brewery called Wander Pizza. And with the shutdown and everything going on with coronavirus, he wanted to support the local community and have himself supported. So he created a virtual beer camp that my mother, whom I adore, was kind enough to sign me up for. So this is a Rising Tide India Pale Ale called, what is that, Strata?
Okay.
So all the people who come to his pizzeria and brewery normally, they were able to pay about $100. We got 24 beers. We got access to our own personal Facebook page. And we've been having a lot of laughs and just enjoying, being socially isolated and having a good time together. But that's that. But we're talking about schooling. Yeah. Wander Pizza. All right. That plug done. But we're talking about schooling. So I have 5 kids also in school. My oldest being 16, my youngest
We need to
being
figure out a
5.
mic stand situation for you.
Okay.
Okay,
Is this too loud, too quiet?
No, keep your hand off of the actual top of the mic. Keep your hand on the handle. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit easier.
I'm using a mic from a Wii.
Yeah.
So
hey, you're doing great for what you got.
Yeah.
Dude, it sounds pretty good, honestly. I was shocked when we did a test yesterday.
Thank you. And I'll fix this tomorrow. So obviously I need to find a mic that I can hold more up here, like I'm holding a.
Well, you can go to Walmart, get yourself a blue Yeti. They're about $100. It's what I've got. And they're good mics. It's got a nice bass. It's got a lot of different features. Yeah.
I used the Blue Yeti for a while. It's a great mic.
And I'm learning. Right, I've reached out to Bill.
Rode
I said,
mic.
Bill, what can I do better? Bill said talk slower, so I'm trying to talk slower.
But get your thought out, man.
Before our boy joins us and we start going into the actual podcast, I'm just thinking schooling, education. I have 5 kids. Oldest 16, youngest is 5, which is kindergarten, and my oldest is about to be a senior. And the Georgia, where I'm at, the education system's like, you need to be doing schooling, and they really push schooling hard. So we were pushing our kids to do a lot of schooling online, and it's putting a lot of stress because 5 kids using one computer throughout the course of the day. It's we're constantly having to help kids do schooling. And then my wife read the fine print, and in Georgia it says nothing from the 13th of March, which is when Georgia shut down, on will count against you education-wise. So school in Georgia ends in June. End of May, beginning of June is when school ends here. So basically what March, April, May, 3 months of school, not important. All my kids have already been pushed on to the next grade. And I have not been a fan of education since day one. Bill, I almost got kicked out of the Air Force because of what I call forced education. Am I lying?
So
ALS.
Okay. So
So they're still trying to push forced education, and they're leaving it in the fine print saying it's not important. What we need to teach you over the next 3 months doesn't matter. This could be a whole podcast on its own, and I could go on rants for days. But this is just us having fun before your boy joins us.
Yeah. So when he messaged me, he said he would get to he'd get to us when he could get to us. All right. Like he's got his kids. And if he comes in at the very final Rambo, then that's when he comes in, and that's fine.
No.
No. because I think that what's really, really important is really, like amongst the three of us, it's like, let's talk about this first Rambo, and then let's get
Okay.
into the last Rambo, because they're two very different movies.
And I noticed that right off the rip. So we're going to go ahead and just disregard my entire education rant. And we're going to go straight into Rambo's, correct?
Let's get straight into Rambo.
Okay. All right.
By the way,
I'm
I
good
want
with
to know
that.
what everyone's drinking on at the moment.
What are you drinking, Bill? Because you don't drink.
No, I don't. I'm drinking black coffee. However, this morning I had coffee with decarb oil, courtesy of that is decarboxylated cannabis oil. You can't have it because you're in the military. Dan, you're not in the military.
Hell yeah.
So decarb oil is it's sort of a cannabis concentrate that can be used for cooking. You mix it down, break it down a little bit with coconut oil, or you can put it in butter, make it like put it on butter on a steak or a grilled cheese sandwich, whatever it is you're trying to do. So this morning, when I was getting all my work done, I did it my decarb oil and my coconut oil in coffee in a blender, sort of like bulletproof coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it? I mean, it doesn't have Is it THC effect? You get
yes.
Really?
So I put in about a half gram of THC oil. So about 500 milligrams of.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude! I did that when I first got out. When I moved to Portland, Oregon. They have. Have you ever done a dab at all?
I've done a lot of dabs.
Well, no, it's called a Dabinol. Adabinol.
So tell me about it.
It's just, it kind of looks like Pepto-Bismol. It's just, it really does. It's the best thing ever. I loved it. I love the shit out of it. It's just 500 to 750 milligrams of THC in this little bottle. And you're supposed to take like a teaspoon, put it, with something, and you get 30, 40, 50 or whatever milligrams or so. I'm not really sure how it worked out, but I decided to take all of it all at once. I wanted to experiment. I thought I was fucking dying. I was on my couch and I thought I was exploding. Like my skin, like I was looking at it and it was, all the light was coming off. I think I have never tripped so hard off of weed or THC before that.
It's an existential experience, man. And it's one of those things you got to do, like the kid, like nobody's up. It's just you.
But you're telling me that you took 500 milligrams of THC this morning?
Yeah. First thing. So I woke up.
And you're fucking functioning?
Yeah.
I was high for like 10 hours, dude. I was fucking
gone. Dude. So it's different for everybody. So it's like, for me, it's not like it's like I'm a high functioning dude when I'm on cannabis, but like I know that if I don't work right while I'm doing that, then I'm wasting whatever the muse is that's coming in, like whatever the energy is, whatever the juice that's coming in. Because I can't drink. Like drinking doesn't do it. I would love to drink and watch The Departed again. My God. Like The Departed was a drinking game, my friend. There's, I really do miss that. And I get to do a lot of work up here with some of the, like we have cool microbreweries up here. And so I get to do work with them, but I don't get to drink. I get to drink their root beer. I get to eat their food that they make, which is cool. But so I'll do what I can to get you some of our beer up here. But as far as the cannabis goes, like, yes, if I didn't have coffee, like that was the other thing. It was like I was putting it in coffee. I put a large dose in my coffee, and it's not like I was driving anywhere. I was up early, catching up on the stuff that I didn't miss, or that I missed from the first time that I watched the very last Rambo, and then watching Hobbs and Shaw trying to decode that. So it's like I wasn't going anywhere. I was working, like I was getting stuff done.
No, I mean I think that's great. That's great that you can do that. Me, I'm a fucking mess when I get too high. I just can't. I'm not a good functioning high person,
Oh, I'm cutting back on a lot of the smoking stuff, like a lot of the.
I don't like smoking, man.
Yeah,
I don't like smoking it. I like edibles. That's my thing.
Why? What's the difference between smoking? So me as a military member who's never enjoyed marijuana, what's the difference between an edible and smoking it? Why? And then I know, so my brother-in-law is big into oils right now.
Okay.
So what is before I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole. My wife is doing weird things with her hands. Me too. Anyways, so she's Vanna Whiting. So real quick, so we can get into the podcast proper. So somebody who's completely naive, smoking edibles, oils, a 60-second rundown.
Edibles, okay, so
Bill,
oils
you're the
are
expert.
concentrates. Oils are going to be your dabs, they're going to be your shatters, your terp sauces, your concentrated cannabis, your essential oils of the cannabis plant. It's the best way to put it. The best way that I could put it. And it's like all of the benefits of the flower via a more concentrated form. Like smoking a dab will, if you have a good, strong, powerful dab, is going to be just as powerful as like 2 or 3 bowls. Like, and that's just at once. That's just a boom.
But I don't know what
Very
2 or 3
intense.
bowls means. Is 2 or 3
It's a
bowls
lot.
a lot?
It's a lot.
Okay.
We're just saying a lot. We're just saying a lot is a lot is a lot is a
So
lot.
2 or 3 bowls is like 6 to 7 beers.
No, it's like a 24 pack. Just
what?
you're going for me.
Okay.
That's how it would be for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a beer drinker. Give me marijuana to beer if you can, real quick.
Marijuana to beer. So okay, like eating marijuana is a body high. It's a body feeling. Okay. It's because it's your body is digesting it rather than it's going into your lungs and it's going out. The other thing is like because we're dealing with we're in quarantine because of something that causes respiratory episodes. It's much easier to go to an edible. All right.
Okay.
You're not necessarily functioning at a different. You're functioning in a different way or not functioning in a different way than you would be if you were smoking it. Yeah. If you're asking me, like, if I'm eating a cookie and watching a movie on Netflix, there's really no better way to do it.
Okay.
Unless you're drinking a beer and watching a movie where people are getting fucked up.
Fair enough. Like I said, I've never had the experience. I have no prejudices against it. When I'm out of the military, I will probably try it, but until then, I will not. For as Dan says, I can't comment. But
My meeting's over.
Ooh, there's a person.
ooh,
The
Zoom meeting is over.
You're awesome.
All right.
His
We'll
Zoom
just
meeting
edit
is
this
over.
part out. No worries. Yeah, good.
Hey,
Yeah.
He's letting his dad knows what's up. He's keeping you informed. It's good stuff.
But
I like that kid.
Okay.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
But no, I
I
do
like those kids of mine.
I do find it interesting that there's like, growing up, I had friends that smoked pot, and I have a brother-in-law who's huge into the marijuana scene, and he understands dabbing, he understands edibles, and all of that, and he's able to rattle off information like you are, Bill, and it interests me as somebody who's never done it. I'm like, oh, this is curious. Maybe someday I'll try it, but I'm not going to do it now because obviously
You
I
have
have
a lot to
obligations
lose.
that won't. Yeah.
Yeah,
I have a lot to
you're
lose.
obligated to do
Yeah.
other things. Like
Yeah.
you right now, you have a contract that says you can't do this.
Correct.
One
And
of the things,
I'm gonna honor that
As you
until I can't,
as you should,
or I don't have to.
what I'd be curious to know is what the military stance will be on CBD and CBD isolate in the next couple of years.
I don't ever see it going. I don't ever see it going in the positive route because it's too unknown. So I understand dabbing's a new thing. Edibles have been around for a long time. Dabbing's kind of new. CBD oils and all that's still relatively new from my understanding and what I've learned about it.
Okay.
So the military still just, until we can say a hard yes or no, this is what it does for you, or the government gets its hands in the cookie pot and is making monies off of CBDs, then it becomes okay for the military. Am I wrong?
Well, they're collecting a lot of money from CBDs right now. One of the
who's
issues
they?
that they have, is going to be is the government through taxes. There are a lot of people that are making CBDs. The problem is, one of the things that we're running into is they're not necessarily regulated by the FDA. Any way you cut it, like FDA regulation is kind of the law of the land. The FDA regulation, as we know it, as we understand it, is run by a bunch of lobbyists, and so that's what's keeping cannabis illegal in many states. Now, I think that one of the things you'll deal with when you have the military open to alcohol or to cannabis, if that were to ever happen,
We're very open to alcohol. You know that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a method of like monitoring it, like, because a lot of people are going to go overboard and mistreat, like alcohol, like cannabis is something that can be used and overused to affect and to disaffect it, and it's all depending on the person who is using that, whatever it is. Doesn't matter if it's cannabis or if it's beer or if it's running around in a circle for 30 minutes.
Okay, so God, we're not getting to the movie, and I'm sorry that I'm going on this rabbit hole, but I'm pulling it. So you're talking about, abusing it, using it. All three of us have done the same job. We've all stood in the same guard mount. Have you used alcoholic beverages in the past 8 hours? As an ignorant person, so I smoke a joint at 8 hours and 5 minutes before I have to arm up and carry a gun. Is that going to affect me in a negative way? And I'm not trying to start a fight. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm curious because I don't have the education that I should need for this conversation. If we need to stop this, let me know. We'll stop it and we'll go to Rambo because I'm totally ready for the Rambo conversations.
So I'll talk about it. Dan, do you want to touch on cannabis or you want me to do that?
Oh, I mean, the only thing I would say is because you're so experienced and you're so used to it. And I live in Alabama, which is basically might as well stayed in the military. Everything's illegal down here except guns, which is cool. But like CBD is kind of coming online down here, so we're probably 5 years behind something like Colorado or whatever.
All right.
I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think whenever we get over our this fucking hissy fit shit with the government and everything, once it goes federally legal. I mean, I don't know. I don't see a problem with it. Like,
but you're saying it's not that big a deal. And like I said, devil's advocate here. If I'm getting out of line, stop me. Dan, you said what? Bill had 500 milligrams this morning.
Oh, geez, yeah. If you take
that is like a lot.
That's like drinking 2 bottles of Jack Daniels and then trying to go to sleep and be sober in 8 hours. It's just all about moderation. You have a joint before bed. 8 hours later, you're gonna be more than fine. Like you're gonna be okay.
And I could slam a bottle of Jack Daniels 8 hours prior to arming up. I'll go up and I'll see 3 clearing barrels, and they still send me out the door, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I've never done that.
Sure. Yeah.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically. I've never been in Germany with Bill Baker.
So.
But no, I mean, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole once again, but is there like a level that you could say, yes, marijuana is safe for military members to use and not use?
Yes.
Why yes?
It's very simple. It's just like alcohol. I think, Bill, you said it right. You not mediate. You watch. It's the same thing. People are going to abuse anything. Anything.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter. So the way I look at it, let people do what they want to do. Smoking weed is not that big of a deal to me. Like it's the same thing as drinking. Just be smart about it.
I do agree with you at the end of the day. I would love to smoke pot and still be in the military, but I'm not allowed to, so I don't. And I'm curious about it because I've seen so many people that I admire who smoke pot, and they're not a danger to civilization. You know what I mean? I have aunts, uncles, friends, relatives, Bill, Dan, all of you guys, you all smoke it. I don't look at any of you and go, oh, that's a drug fiend. That guy's going to rape my daughter. I've never said that, But what is it that makes it so bad that I can't do it as a military member and continue on doing my job?
I think a big part of it is that you have the agreement. You do have, there are legitimate, like there are real side effects to regular cannabis use.
Okay. What is regular cannabis use?
I mean, that's all how you define it. The second that you start noticing like there's a difference in what you can remember, your short-term memory, these conversations. What the fuck was I just talking about? The second that you've experienced that is when you've kind of crossed into that threshold, in my opinion, just right now on the spot, without any numbers to back me up. But the second that it starts affecting you is when it starts affecting you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with alcohol, right? Like,
yeah, if your liver is shot, or if it's this or it's that, whenever you start feeling whatever they say those not fun side effects are, that's when you've got a problem with it.
exactly, I agree.
So then it needs to be on the military members and the supervisors and the commanders to watch for that and pay attention, just as you would somebody who may be potentially suicidal or
An alcoholic. Yeah,
yes,
so
or an alcoholic.
totally
Okay.
So the other thing that you're dealing with is tolerance.
And I have a very high tolerance for alcohol.
So
you have a high tolerance for okay. Oh, there he goes. Well, we're going to keep recording.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really do think it's pretty simple, man. It's I don't think it's that complicated, personally.
Okay, well, while Bill's gone, if he posts this on video and people are watching, I'm not wearing the sunglasses to be cool. I'll go back to previous podcasts. Oh, hi, dear. So I've had things in my life happen where I kind of squint a lot. So I'm doing the sunglasses because I'm squinting a lot because I'm having a moment, if you will.
You're good.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I just want to make sure people understand that I'm.
Yeah. No,
I'm not trying to be cool. I'm not trying to be sly.
Nah, screw it, man. It's
I'm
cool. You can be cool, and you can do it for other reasons too. You can be both. It's all good.
Well, I like to be transparent as much as I can be in my life.
Hey,
like I said, I'm not. If my commander calls me tomorrow and says, "Scott, are you interested in marijuana?" I'm going to say, "Yep," but I've never smoked it, and I can prove it. So,
yeah.
But that's how dad stuff goes.
Yeah, that's how dad stuff goes, and we're glad that you're a father and a good father at that.
Oh, Bill is a great. I wish Bill could have been like 15% my dad.
Just 15 though.
Yeah. Well, my dad was pretty amazing, and I feel terrible because I'll never be him. But I'm working on the mustache. I've had friends tell me I look like him, so I'm okay with that. Oh, I'm talking fast.
So this brings us into kind of what we're talking about and why we're here today, Rambo. Right? This wraps into it. Rambo: First Blood, and the very final
Rambo: Last Blood.
Yeah, is that what it's called? Last Blood?
Yeah, I think it's Rambo: Last Blood.
The last droplet.
Yeah.
The goblet is full.
The last squeeze.
I mean, I couldn't believe Scotty hadn't seen it until this. I was shocked.
So,
I don't even know how that's possible.
I do like that his only entrance into this is the first and the last movie.
Yeah, because the middle ones, we all know.
So, if I may, I'm aware that Rambo's a thing. I've seen I've seen bits and pieces of Rambo here and there.
Okay.
But I'm not a big Sylvester Stallone fan. Yeah, he kind of talks like the side of his mouth, and you can't really, hey, Adrian, I'm going to slap a lacrosse ball. All right, man, you're an idiot. I get it. But so last night, you guys both approached me with this idea, and I've gotten after Dan before in Zoobox podcast as I'm not a movie guy. I listen to him just to support Zoobox, but I don't care about movies. So I watched the first Rambo last night. And as I was watching it, I Googled a little stuff because I was listening to the music that's in the movie and the fact that Sylvester Stallone doesn't really talk that much in the first one made it so much better. The dialogue was on people other than the main character. The music was driving your suspense the whole way through it. So I'm watching it, and the first Rocky came out in 82, and I'm a huge – no, it was 82. Pull your phone out, Dan.
Rambo came out in 82.
Sorry, Rambo came out in 82, not Rocky. My bad. Rambo came out in 82, and I was listening to the music and the heavy set, like bump, bump, and then a little bit of, crescendo, and then bump, bump. It made me think of Predator, and I'm a huge Predator fan from 86, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there's not a lot of dialogue in that either, so I got very nostalgic with it. and I watched it, and I was paying attention. I'm like, this is good. And then about halfway through the movie, I was kind of like, light bulb. This is PTSD stuff. This isn't just kind of saying he has PTSD. This is shining the light on Vietnam veterans and PTSD. It wasn't meant to. It wasn't using that as a crutch, in my opinion. It was kind of saying, this is an issue. There are guys out there that have this problem with PTSD. And the general public, the police, who is the bad guy in this video,
Brian
they don't.
Dennehy, the recently departed
Just
Brian
yeah,
Dennehy.
just died. Super sad.
Not to be confused with Brian Boitano from the South Park movie.
You know what's really interesting though? I don't know if you guys noticed, but when what's it? I'm sorry, I can't remember the sheriff, the main guy, the
Brian
main
Dennehy.
bad cop. Yeah, that gentleman.
The sheriff, the antagonist.
So once they accidentally, spoiler everybody, if you haven't seen this fucking movie, I don't know why you're watching this shit, but anyway.
If you haven't seen it, you're awful.
I mean, yeah, like you're Scotty and you're crazy. But there's that scene where they blow him up in the mine, right? And then everyone thinks he's dead, and he goes back to his office, the sheriff. He's like, hey, hold all my calls. And he sits down, and I thought it was a really unique shot because it shows to the left of him, there's a Purple Heart, a Silver Star, and a Distinguished Service Cross.
Really?
But so this was interesting. And I looked it up, and it was, right? And he's actually a Korean War veteran. And it's super compelling because you even see when they're going up through the mountains in their initial rain scene, you know, where he puts up the scarecrow and everything. They were using Korean War tactics versus the guerrilla warfare style that was the special forces in Vietnam, where it was his element. It was just interesting. I just thought that was a really cool thing that they kind of laid in there. And I never noticed that during my first viewing. And it was a war that was forgotten. Was the Korean War.
Yes.
And the Vietnam War was kind of the getting all the accolades at that time. It was just interesting to me.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That's I have to go rewatch that scene now and pay attention to it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the sheriff himself is a veteran, so I thought that was really neat.
I'm gonna have to go rewatch it now because when they blew him on, you know, the National Guard was there and showing the poor tactics and
they
all
weren't stuff there for that bullshit. Like,
yeah. Like, all right, Bill, John, go over and take it over, and they're like, hell no, dude.
I got to be back to work on Tuesday. I don't have time for this. I'll shoot a rocket in there. Problem solved. And they're poking fun at that, which we still do today. But no, it was.
I think it's really about the. So Chapman, I think his name is right. The colonel, I think it's Chapman or something, Troutman or something like that. But it's really the Frankenstein and his monster, Dr. Frankenstein and his monster. It's like this. I read this awesome article about it, and I think that was a really good comparison about how it's kind of like that story of Dr. Frankenstein and his monster that's gone AWOL, it's gone insane, going out hurting people and doing all this stuff, and he's got to come and like kind of get him back.
Is there anything deeper than that, or
what do you mean?
There's
I mean,
the film itself's a character study for sure.
Or, and I really want to get to Bill and the message he sent us in our group. There he goes. Goodbye.
Well, I mean, I think it's just the biggest comparison. The reason why I want to make that comparison is very simply that the military creates you to be something. It designs you to be something, much like Frankenstein, brought back from the dead, designed to be this, not a monster necessarily, but had a purpose, a singular purpose, which is to prove that you can reanimate dead tissue.
Yeah, well, I'll agree with you that the military gives us purpose no matter where you're at. So, yeah, Frankenstein, God, man, you just made a light bulb go off in my head.
Yeah, it's really about, because like in Frankenstein, the dead reanimation or reanimator, where you take that reanimation of dead tissue, that was the singular purpose of the monster in Frankenstein, was just to prove that singular point, but it got out of hand. And I think it's the same thing that happens with some veterans. They are trained to do one thing particularly well, hopefully, and especially in those elite units, to kill people, and they're expected to turn it off. You know, and I think it's just kind of a consequence of the things that you have to go through. It's
Are
interesting.
we really expected to turn it off, and where does that come from?
I don't know.
I'm not trying to. I have different trains of thought right now,
But
boys.
Rambo's one is a classic, man. I don't know. That's all I can say. I love it.
So break down your trains of thought here, Scotty. What are you thinking?
So I'm messing up my beer pour first of all because I'm holding a mic in my hand. So Dan's talking about, we're trained to do something particularly well, and then expected to turn it off. And why are we expected to turn it off? Why is that? My second train of thought is I went golfing yesterday. So I've been in the military 16 years. My counterpart has been in a little over 13 years. We're the same rank. I had a captain and I had a first lieutenant who's a prior E. We were all four of us were golfing, and we were getting phone calls for work reasons during a government shutdown. And my counterpart, who's same rank, he's not able to turn it off because he has that stress. So I was thinking Frankenstein's monster able to turn it off. When I walk out of my job at the end of the day, I can turn it off, and I don't care. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of guys I know that bring that stress home with them. And I don't want to go that far down this rabbit hole. Maybe that's another day. Maybe we should concentrate more on the Frankenstein's monster because we're doing a movie review. How is the colonel that turned this enlisted guy, which I wish I had more backstory on John Rambo, who he was, how he got into the Army, how he got picked up for the Green Berets. That's not an easy task, I've hung out with Navy SEALs in deployed locations. I've hung out with Green Berets in deployed locations. I've hung out with Air Force TAC-Ps, Air Force PJs. Not a big fan of the PJs. I'll put that out there right now. But Rice, I love you. You're a
Yeah,
PJ.
right. Rice is good.
Side note. Anyways, but so let's go with the Frankenstein route. Like the colonel, who's the officer, who's above the nonsense that us enlisted deal with. He is the creator of the monster, which is the enlisted side of the house. So end of the day, you have a guy who's removed from it, even though in the movie he claims, I was there with you, I dealt with the same things. But do they really deal with it? I saw it, yeah. Do they really deal with the same things? It's I don't want to go too far down my own rabbit hole, but you guys have less time in with me. You guys saw your own things. You're civilians now for your own reasons. Is there a difference between the officers making us the monsters, or do we allow them to make us the monsters that become the John Rambos of the world? I know this is all to extremes. I mean, it's an extreme right here, but I said it in the last podcast. At the drop of a hat, I'll go savage. I'll go pick up Dan on my diesel, and we'll go do boogaloo stuff. I'm not going to make it all the way to Alaska because, Bill, that's too far of a drive. But you know what I mean? They're saying the officer's the doctor and Rambo's the Frankenstein. Is there credibility to that? Am I wrong?
I don't know. It's like I'm not a shrink, but
You've been my shrink. I've been your shrink.
But I think that like you are in some cases, like you're making the tools that you need to do a job, right? So if you are like up here, we've got the oil fields, right? So if you are like a great welder, great fabricator, you can make things happen. You are very technically sound, technically apt. You can make your own tools for the jobs that you need to accomplish. And so if your job is to do this one thing, right, then your job might be to develop the proper tools to do it. Whether it's if it's the best way to, all military guys all in the same job, if it's finding the safest, cleanest, healthiest way to check ID cards at the front gate, then then you develop that and you create your own tools to make it work, right? Or if it's a system for documenting some particular form, right? You have to create the system, and you have to create the tools that you want to use before you can use them. So was Colonel Troutman making his own Frankenstein? Yeah, but if we fast forward from one Rambo to the next, Rambo's job was always to be in the a soldier. Like that was always his dream. So to assume, like my assumption is that if his dream was always to be a soldier, then he's going to go in balls to the wall. Why wouldn't he go all out? Why wouldn't he be the Rick James of the Special Forces?
Dan?
No, I mean, I don't think that there's any argument there. I think that would be fair that he would be the most susceptible to be on that path of going into those special forces and the Green Berets and doing all that high operation, high tempo stuff. And I do think the movie really, obviously, the whole point of the movie is a psychological view of what a veteran goes through and how easily. I mean, if we just break down in the beginning of the movie, I mean, the guy finds out one of his best friends is gone. Like that Rambo, John is now truly alone in the world. Has basically the only person left of this experience that he had in Vietnam. And now he's absolutely alone. And it's so easy why would this sheriff be this big of a dick, which is obviously just to move for the sake of moving forward. It's tragic. It's kind of like this tragic story, and that's what really makes the movie, I think, the most interesting is that they drew first blood. And I think he says that in the cave. They were the ones who started it all. And he just was trying to get out of it.
You notice what Rambo said when the sheriff dropped him off, right? He's like, I was just looking for a bite to eat.
Yeah.
He was hungry.
Yeah. Package of Ritz crackers would have made everything okay.
You give the guy a Snickers, he'll go on his way down to Portland and do that. But
he's going to enjoy the Pacific Northwest like any other Pacific Northwesterner.
It's beautiful up there.
It is.
Maybe, and it is kind of, I hate to, fall in the veteran card, but I've done things. Me and Bill have been through IDF attacks where we laid under a Humvee, and I remember Bill yelling, "This is bullshit," because they weren't even hitting near us, but the alarms are going off, and we had no idea. So me and Bill laying under a Humvee saying, "This is bullshit" together. So
you got to do what you got to do. I mean,
you do.
Like I remember during one particular IDF attack, I got on the floor and I did the things I was supposed to do. And my roommate, like we had two roommates. We both hit the floor and did what we were supposed to do. The other one like popped his head out of the beds and he was like, I'm resigned to dying. But it's like everyone handles it differently, right? Like you handle those situations differently depending on what your expectation is.
Because we become numb to that, and it's what we expect, but people who have never been through that don't understand it. So the whole movie to me was about, PTSD. No matter what you've done, even if you've never deployed, the military still expects certain things from us. And you get a little twisted, and there's PTSD, and then there's failure to adapt, which I know a lot of people can get failure to adapt because we're in the military, so much more is expected of you. So yeah, Rambo is the extreme right of PTSD. He was a nom. Things went sideways all the time, special forces. And I think the three of us, we're kind of the middle ground. And then there's the left side where it's like, oh, I deployed to Qatar. And oh my gosh, we ran out of steak on Friday. No surf and turf. And it's still a mental hardship because you're expecting certain things. But the movie to me was all about PTSD and the civilian population's inability to accept that there's still people coming home with PTSD. And Dan, you brought up that the sheriff was a former Korean War vet who had been readmitted to civilization. I love both of you to death. You know, Bill, you've been out however many years. Dan, you're still recently out in the grand scheme of things. I'm still in. So I haven't had that separation yet that both of you have had. So if PTSD came down to it and I had a freak out moment with both of you being removed from the equation and having the clarity, so to speak, that civilians have, if I'm like, oh my God, Dan, oh my God, Bill, I just did this, this, and this, are you going to be looking at it the same way that I did, even though me and Bill share similar medals from Iraq? Me and Dan share similar experiences, the same, bullshit, we're better than you mentality from what we did in F.E. Warren. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Am I too far off on a rant?
So I think so when you get out, part of it is that you if there are any active duty guys, anyone who just got out, if we have any military of any military, foreign military, because I know that with Woke and Bake, I've got listeners all over the world. I'm very happy about that. When you get out of the military, it's very important that when you get out, you have people that you connect with, right? That other veterans that you can talk to, other veterans that you can interact with and find things that you can have a common ground with, because it's going to be very important to find that common ground, regardless of whether some of your experiences line up. The flip side of that is that they're going to be able to, because especially if you're just getting new to a place, they're going to be able to link you up with other people who might have a better understanding of what you're going through. But just about any place you go is going to have like groups. They're going to have, they'll have spouses groups. You'll have AMVETs. You'll have the VFW. I don't think any of those which you can go to right now, but whatever. They still have actual services that they could provide. But during the year, during the regular year, those are places that you can go to just connect with people, to get out of the house, because it's the not getting out of the house is where a lot of this stuff comes back to you. Like a lot of this, a lot of the shit like rises to the surface. Like they say, cream rises to the top. So does shit. Like, and if you don't have an outlet or people to interact with and things to do, then that shit goes to the top. And eventually it's like weird because it becomes all shit, but it's rather than all cream, it's feces.
Agreed. I very much agree with that, because I just got out within this past year. It's definitely it's true. And I've moved twice, and I've lost a lot. I'm thousands of dollars in debt. It's been and it's a lot of my own doing. I won't lie, making moving with the wrong people, trying to do the wrong things, and then but it's hard, man. Like suppose like my family, like trying to talk to your family about certain things, and it's not that they don't care, or they just don't fucking get it. And
Yes.
it's frustrating. So personally for me, because I was out here playing music and stuff, but I was still so isolated. I would play 5 nights a week, make, $500 a week doing it, maybe more. And I was still isolated. I was still so alone. I didn't feel like I could connect with anybody. So for me personally, what I did is I reached out to the VA and I started seeking treatment.
Okay.
That's what I did. It helped me.
So we can agree that, I mean, this is 1982, Rambo First Blood.
The VA sucked.
Yeah. The stuff we have, I know that Dan, you've reached out to a friend of mine. Bill, if you want to reach out to my friend of mine, I'll get you some good disabilities. But in 82, the VA was garbage. It's still garbage today, but it's better than it was.
Well, okay.
So Rambo, go ahead. Oh.
So to be fair, like, and I guess because that's a blanket statement to say like the VA sucks. Like where I'm at, again, I live with like unicorns, right? Like if I need to go in and get seen, like I can get seen relatively quickly.
Me too. I'm in the same boat as you.
So I understand
I
folks at like the Phoenix VA have had problems, but anytime you live in a large metropolitan area, you're
Mhm.
going to have more problems than your
Yep.
average spot. If you're in a classroom with 60 students, it's going to be harder for the students that need help to get the help they deserve. And a lot of it really comes down to personal choice. Like my wife and I chose to live up here because it's easier for, like, if it's going to get seen at the VA, I get seen pretty quickly. We also have a network of veterans. Um, Speaking of veterans, veteran owned, got to take a quick break to give a plug to your sponsor who makes supplements, Dan.
ASC, man.
I
Yeah,
need
pull
you to
that
talk
bottle
to
up,
me.
man.
I need you to talk to me about El Jefe, the boss.
No, I'm telling you, man. I mean, this guy. Just quick backstory on the founder and the CEO of this company, ASC Supplements. I mean, guy could barely speak English when he came in the military. I mean, that's true. I mean, my buddy Jake could barely speak English, and now he's an officer. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
he's been
so
in
he's
8
active
years.
duty and he's
Yeah.
selling supplements.
Yeah. Oh
Everybody's
yeah.
got to hustle. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. He's doing super well, and I mean, he actually just got confirmation that they're actually getting sales in Puerto Rico and Mexico now. It's becoming actually, this is going to be El Jefe is their main product, but like that's a great looking product. It's kind of made and targeted towards the Hispanic audience a little bit, but I mean, it works though. It really, like, I'm not even bull crapping. I've been in the military. I used to weigh 200 pounds, used to lift weights all the time. This is the best pre-workout I've ever had. 100%, honestly. And then he's got stim-free stuff. He's got thermo burners, and it's everything. And he actually has another company he started up called NutriCartel. So go check out NutriCartel.com. That's another one.
So my current sponsor, one of my sponsors, supporters, is Iron Asylum. You can look them up online at the Iron Asylum Gym AK, or on Instagram at the Iron Asylum AK. They are also a veteran-owned business. The owner, Brandon, has been a guest on my podcast several times, member of the 10th Mountain Division, and he is joining us out on a trip this summer to Port Chatham. If you're not familiar with Port Chatham is the home of the Port Chatham Hairy Man, a vicious mother lover. Think of a Sasquatch that rips arms off, and all that good stuff. So not the way you think of Sasquatch, like Harry and the Hendersons. Like, this is Sasquatch for real, like Chewbacca, like more Chewbacca than Harry and the Hendersons.
Really?
Yeah. So this town in this area called Port Chatham, Port Lock, was abandoned in the 1950s after a hairy man was going through, and he was I guess they started off taking animals, taking livestock, that sort of thing. People would go hunting for him, looking for him, and what they'd find was people's arms or part of them. Eventually, this town was abandoned. So, yeah.
So you guys are going up there to kind of check some stuff out.
Yeah. So part of what we're doing with streaming service and chill, we're working on some T-shirts to sell, to help pay for this search for the hairy man. It's not a hunt. I'm not hunting this thing. This thing, for all I know, could be John J. Rambo's cousin, like some other, like the son of like a Korean War vet who is also a Vietnam vet, who's also like did some weird time in like Iran Contra, and he's just living out there in Port Chatham, not wanting to be bothered, just running through the woods and eating stuff with his bare hands. He doesn't want to be bothered. I get it. And if that's what it is, sorry about that. But if it is Sasquatch, if it is the hairy man, and I do get my arm ripped off, we'll have cameras out there, so you'll have video of that.
That's what we need. I'm glad you're willing to take that risk.
Yeah, it's
for my entertainment.
Exactly. It's, if grown men and women are willing to get into steel cages, to get into mixed martial arts fights for my entertainment, I'm willing to lose an arm to the Sasquatch for theirs.
Respect.
If Sasquatch takes Bill's arm or arms, I'm calling Glen K. Brott, and we're flying to Alaska, and things are gonna go wild real fast. It's either
Dude,
gonna
let it be. Let it be.
it's
Let
gonna-
the Squatch.
Just let it happen, man. Just let it happen. Are you guys going to live stream it? Kind of
Well,
type deal?
I don't think we're
me
going
and
to be
Glenn
able
will
to live
live
stream
stream it.
it. I don't think.
Yeah, because service up there is probably.
Yeah. So we'll go out there. We're going to have 5 or 6 cameras. We've got some trail cameras. There's a search for the Hairy Man documentary on Netflix, and that's kind of the required viewing of people that are going on this one, as well as just about every other Bigfoot documentary on Amazon Prime, of which there are a lot of varying quality. Shout out to Don't Call Me Bigfoot, probably the best documentary on the subject, and the Bigfoot and Aliens one, which was not. So there are a bunch of different links to Bigfoot and Aliens, and there are a lot of good documentaries on Amazon Prime, but the Bigfoot and the Aliens documentary that they have on Prime, not the one.
Not the one.
Not the one.
Dude, do not.
Good to know. Good to know.
But the Port Chatham Hairy Man, the very cool thing about that is that because it's only about 5 hours away from us, we can kind of cruise over there and see the things that they didn't do in this documentary that we would do. Like they slept on the boat during this time. We're going to go camping in the abandoned houses.
So you're going to be living in the town, the old stomping grounds.
Yeah, so they went out there overnight. We're going out there for hopefully 2 or 3 days. So we'll go out there, and we're hoping to go deep. So one of the sponsors, one of the supporters,
You're hoping to go deep.
Yeah. Well, one of the sponsors, supporters, Iron Asylum, Brandon is a 10th Mountain Division veteran. We're going to be climbing through the mountains. Another buddy of mine is a retired Air Force survival, evasion, resistance, escape instructor. Going to talk to him.
That's a good guy to have on your side.
Yeah, I'm going to see if he wants to come along, and just turn this into like a cool excursion that we can have some fun with.
Do you got a YouTube channel then? I'm guessing for the podcast.
It's not great. I'm still learning the editing video portion.
Yeah, we're working on some of those things. I'm actually buying a MacBook Pro. If you need help with anything.
Is that what I've got? Do I have the MacBook Pro? I got a MacBook, I know, and then I've got the iMac Pro at the big studio in North Kenai. One of the things that I'm glad I'm talking to you real quick. One of the things that we're working on up here is something called Red Run Radio. If you guys are interested in having Zoobox syndicated, like I don't know, you guys air once a week. The more content you have, the more we can upload. If it's airing every Tuesday at 3:00 in the afternoon to 5:00 in the afternoon, or whenever it is.
Well, hey, if you we can talk about it a little bit later if you don't mind. You know, I don't know if you want to get into the details.
I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty on the podcast, but I want to bring it up to you. So
if I don't know if you've listened to our podcast yet, but we'd be willing to. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, good.
I would say.
Goody. All right, now let's get back into Rambo. One of the let's get back to Rambo because it's very important. PTSD is a tough conversation, and there are a lot of movies that we can get into to discuss that. We also have access to a lot of people that we can discuss. One of the things that I would like to discuss, and I kind of touched on it on my my streaming service and chill last week with the Christopher Walken movie King of New York. David Caruso plays a cop a lot.
A lot.
So David Caruso was a cop in King of New York. He was a cop in this. He was a cop in the first season of NYPD Blue. He's got that one show in Miami where he is a cop. He is what I think we are supposed to think about when we think about cops on TV. Like, why the fuck wasn't he on The Wire?
I don't know. That's a damn good question. If he was in everything else, The Wire is that's a great show. I haven't seen that in years, but
it's a great show.
Yeah, it's a great show. I mean, so what about the PTSD? As far as, are you saying that this is a good representation or a bad representation of PTSD? I mean, you have your Hollywoodisms just like anything else.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it does. It's one of those films that that a lot of people empathize with John J. Rambo, particularly in this film, especially in the veteran community, because he was just trying to get on, man. That was it. He was just trying to get on and get to wherever he was. Land of the free, home of the brave, right? He was trying to get to where he was trying to get to. All he wanted was a sandwich or something to eat, man. And they had places to eat in that town. And that got and Brian Dennehy didn't take him to any of them. As far as is being a representation of PTSD, it is a representation of PTSD. Whether or not you you want to think of it as positive or negative, it is what it is. And I think that it does as good a job showing a face of it as any other Hollywood movie does by showing a cause if it's something that's well thought out. I'm not a great big Oliver Stone fan, but Platoon was a great film.
Yes.
Agreed.
So that being said, some films are harder to watch than others, and Rambo doesn't feel that way. Rambo doesn't feel that way because it's more cartoony. It's not, and I don't want to say cartoony, but it did have a fucking cartoon. There was a Rambo cartoon in the 80s. If you don't believe me, check Amazon Prime. All right.
I saw that. So I bought Rambo 1 yesterday.
Okay.
And when I typed in Rambo, it brought up the 80s cartoon. I was like, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Let's keep moving. So I know what you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, so that exists. I think that Rambo 3, or not Rambo 3, the very last Rambo, because you didn't skip, you skipped 2, 3, and 4. Like you went from 1 to 5.
Yes.
And I think that it's important to think and remember, like, those two have to exist in the same universe.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, it can be if you watch 2 and 3 and especially 4, which is kind of just if you connecting 4 and this one is a little hard for me. You know what I mean?
So okay, so we can't because Scotty didn't see 2, 3,
I know.
4.
We can't get into that.
We can't get too far into it. I will say that 4 worked for me in this because in 4 he was in a shithole and he was in a very tough place and he looked like he was probably burnt out on being in that kind of a tough place.
That's true.
So, I think it's important. They don't really we jumping into this new one. They don't really address his actual relationship with the girl and her grandmother, do they? They ever address that? Just they call him Uncle John.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who's the girl's grandmother? Can I please step in?
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to slow down. I watched the first Rambo. At the end, I was like, this guy is a felon. He's going to prison. All right. I start the last Rambo Last Blood, and he's much older, clearly. He has a Latino woman working for him. Who I'm
living
like,
with him.
right.
We don't know that she's necessarily working for him.
Yeah, he's living/working. And
she's taking care of him.
Yeah. And he has a 17-year-old Latino niece. So I missed Rambo 2, 3, and 4.
Oh, those have any of that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't. That's nothing. That's
you
why
didn't miss. You didn't miss the explanation of any of that. All right. Yeah, you didn't miss. You're not gonna watch those others and get like any satisfaction. They're not gonna be like, oh, so that's how it all ties together. No, it's not like that at all. These are all kind of cartoon universes. Like it's the only way to describe it. So the first one was this sort of thing where like he's outrunning cops on a dirt road on a dirt bike, and that's pretty cool.
Yes.
By the third
which
one,
I could do.
By the third one, spoiler alert, he's able to take down a helicopter with a bow and arrow.
I could also do that, but no big deal.
The fourth one, he's machine gunning folks with a 50 cal, and that's where you kind of get into this, like the superset of violence that you get in this film. The last one is where they kind of turned up the violence. The violence and the graphic violence in this is where it really turned up.
I mean, I kind of dug it, honestly. If I had
not saying I didn't.
Yeah, I dug it, dude.
We're talking about Rambo: Last Blood, correct?
This is because the film itself, the more that we learn about sort of the I don't want to say dark arts, but like the darkness that's going on behind the scenes of what we're of what's being portrayed in the news. Like, we know that human trafficking is going on. We know these ugly things, and we've known for a long time. This was man on fire with an old white guy who's not drunk.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yep. And me being not a huge Rambo person, I watched the first one and I was like, all right, veterans PTSD. And within 15 minutes, before I sent you guys the picture of my happy face when he messed up that, human trafficker, I understood it was going straight to human trafficking. I knew that. So it's more of a political piece film in my mind as a not Rambo fan, as the whatever side I am. I don't care about Rambo, but I was like, okay. Very quickly, I was able to understand that they were going into the Dan, you took the CBTs. Bill, you've done CBTs. You go into a bar. There's a woman there. She has no identification, but she wants to have sex with you. It's a CBT.
CBTs are computer-based training. You got to understand that people who are listening right now or watching now you're throwing off letters that they may or may not get. So computer-based training. You sit down in front of a computer. It's better learning through hitting the space bar. When in doubt, Charlie out.
I apologize.
All good.
Every year I have taken.
Yeah, you brainwashed moron.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, well, I'm going to be at 20 years with 100% disability. So where are you at, Dan? Potato.
7 years, 90. Just get at me. Right.
Anyways, so me with all the stuff I'm subjected to, I was like, oh my gosh, this is instantly a propaganda film about human trafficking. I realized that very quickly. And that
when you say propaganda film for human trafficking, you make it sound like it's like it's a commercial. Like the last 45 minutes is it's the most pro-human trafficking bullshit I've ever seen. I've never seen such pro-human trafficking. John Rambo was out there with Sugar Free the rapper singing "Don't Be Thinking with Your Dick, Boy," while he was kicking girls out of the hookers. You know who out of the cars? You know who else was there? DJ the Pimp from Hustle and Flow. Because it's hard out here for a pimp. Ask John Rambo. John Rambo. Rambos.
And at the end of the day, he still can't come to terms with his sexuality, which is really what the first Rambo is about. Now he's sitting there. His niece is getting all the sex from these men that he wants to get, and it's just pissing him off.
I'm glad you and I are on the same page, and I really got this way after watching the first trailer for this movie.
See it. When
it was Old Town Road, when it was Billy Ray Cyrus singing Old Town Road a cappella, Old Town Road, and that's when you know that it's about John Rambo is so angry and so crushed because inside he is a closeted gay man, and he has not been able to ever show off his life. Now, in the early 80s, it's not like the only place he could go cruising for some D would have been in San Francisco, would have been in Seattle. However, his buddy who he lost to Agent Orange, this could have been his last hope for love. He's going through a very, very dark place with PTSD, and all he wants is someone to love him. He's a little bit dirty. He's a little bit disgusting. Some of us, sometimes it's a lot harder for other people than it is for others. And I'm just saying that John J. Rambo, after Vietnam, was probably cruising for somebody that was willing to love him in a rough way that he was accustomed to. And that by the time he got to the twilight of his life, when he's 70 plus years old, living out on a farm with his niece and her grandmother, he's just looking to die a comfortable gay man by himself. And that's really what it all is about. If John J. Rambo had been able to be a gay man all of his life, he wouldn't have died alone. I'm just saying.
I agree. I think it's actually fantastic thesis that you have brought up. Is about how America has denied homosexuals the same rights as straight people. So I think at the end of the day, John Rambo got his revenge. I think it's fucking awesome. You know, it is what it is, man. Because it's really the whole sex industry that they're showing with the sex trafficking is actually about how bad straight people are. That's really what it's about, if you think about it.
Oh, shit. That's deep.
Like, you know what I mean? Right? If we're going to get
it.
into this, like, that is the true depravity. If I said that word right, whatever. Listen, I'm not a scientist.
Depravity.
Whatever, dude. Shut the hell up, okay?
But it exists. It exists with homosexuality as well. Like you look at if you watch Out of Shadows, that's what a lot of that Pizzagate stuff was about. We always talk about the little girls, but we don't talk about the little boys that get wrapped up in all of this as well.
I mean, that's absolutely fair. But okay, we're talking about adult sex trafficking. Let's say adult, because technically this woman.
Yeah. So
I would say it's more prevalent that adult women are getting sex trafficked than probably adult men. If I had to guess, this is no basis of fact. I'm just saying.
Fair enough.
If I had to guess. Yeah. Because no one's fucking my butt unless I want them to. You know what I mean? Unless I'm like letting it happen.
Yeah, that's where we are in our lives. And that's sadly not where John Jay was. If John Jay was able to, it would be a whole different experience for John Jay. If John Jay was able to be who he wanted to be. And maybe that's what Brian Dennehy was like. He was also a closeted angry gay man. Like, get out of here.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, when he's on the rooftop in the end of the first film, First Blood, which is actually the original title, not Rambo First Blood, it's First Blood. But he's looking through the glass skylight, right? And it's dark, and he sees him skirt across. He's really just looking at himself because he can't come to his terms with his own sexuality. And John Rambo was that kind of man that he probably would want to make love to. So he has to eliminate himself. Like he really does. He has to eliminate the greatest potential threat to his own sexuality, which is John Rambo. So this is some deep shit, dude. We could win a Pulitzer Prize, I think, if we took this to article. I really do.
Easily that or a Nobel for certain.
Nobel Peace, whatever they got going on. If Obama won one, so can I.
What's the one that they give to kids' books? The Thornberry or something.
I don't even know, man.
I don't know.
I just know that if Obama can win the Nobel Peace Prize, so can I. With 3 wars in the Middle East,
dude,
it's possible.
When he won, and I'm probably mistaken, he wasn't even president. Like he'd been elected, but like he hadn't come into office yet when he won the first Nobel Peace Prize, or like when he won.
No, it wasn't at the end of his second term. 20. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I mean, but that's wild.
Yeah, he dropped a lot of bombs.
Yeah,
he blew up a lot of people. For a guy that won a Nobel Peace Prize, he blew up a lot of people.
Dude, he killed an American citizen in Yemen with a drone strike.
I believe without a trial. I believe they also killed his kid. Yeah. They said. What was it his press secretary said? Because Luke from We Are Change interviewed the press secretary. The press secretary said something to the effect of, well, I guess he should have had a better dad. Because the guy's kid was also blown up. Guess he should have had a better dad. It was
his 16th. They drone striked him on his kid's 16th birthday party.
His birthday.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
Yeah, it's your Yemenis.
And Obama's the same.
Your Yemenis quinceañera.
I can't believe that's not like national news. I can't believe that's not a bigger deal that he killed an American, because there was said that he was working with terrorist organizations that would be a potential threat to American lives, and that's what was their reasoning behind allowing. Dude, that's like Waco but on steroids.
So
That's like Ruby Ridge on steroids.
let's run this back a little bit, because this does still tie into Rambo, but we didn't watch the third Rambo, which is which ties into Charlie Wilson's War, which ties into the formation of the Taliban, which turns into the formation of where a lot of these conflicts come from. And I'll say that Rambo has done, except for maybe the second one, has done a pretty good job of representing a lot of ugliness as it actually is. Like kind of Hollywoodized, kind of glamorized, but there's a truth to the ugliness that they shine a light on. Whether it's PTSD, whether it is the conflict that was going on in Afghanistan in the mid to late 80s, which films like Charlie Wilson's War and Rambo 3 kind of both did a really good job of reflecting on. One more so like during the time. Rambo's done a really, really good job as a series, I think, of reflecting what's happening. And I think that Stallone is an actor that doesn't get enough credit. Like you talked about, like he's got the weird thing when he plays into that, like when he did in like a film like Copland, where he plays a guy who's half deaf. Like that.
Oh my God, dude!
That can be a benefit.
Thank you.
That can absolutely be a benefit. Like same thing with Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart, I think, had a like paralysis in his face or something like that, because he was a veteran. It was something that was related to his time in service. But there's these movies, like they exist, and some of them do a better job of shining a light than others. Some movies, I think, exist to confuse people to what happened. I think some movies try to kind of reimagine what happened. Or sometimes they just want to take a liberty from like a book or the actual documentation. Like without going into like too many war movies, Lone Survivor. Have we seen?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Have we all read the book as well?
I have
yes, not. I have. Dan,
okay.
I'll show you tomorrow.
No bottle. Was it a Coke bottle or a Pepsi bottle? I believe it was a Coca-Cola bottle.
Yes, it was a Coca-Cola bottle.
When he was in the village? And
yes,
they kept putting the water in it. He got like dysentery or something.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff that the movie left out. How he could have been rescued sooner had people paid attention. Yes.
You know what? I all of that. Like there were a lot of things that they switched up. There were a lot of things they switched up in films like Captain Phillips to make it not historically accurate. Braveheart, all of these movies. But I think you do a better job when you're fictional up front. You've got a guy like Rambo who is, like a Mac v. Sog type guy. You have a better chance of making him kind of an amalgamation, like 15 different dudes, combined into one, because you don't have to stay truthful to one story. Like there was a lot of stuff that they didn't cover in the book for Lone Survivor that they didn't cover in the movie Lone Survivor that happened in the book that I thought might have made the story a little bit different. Would have been a cooler story.
For us as veterans, it would have made it better.
Or anyone that read the book, like anyone who's more familiar with that story, because if you're familiar with the story, then you're like, oh, that's not how it happened.
And I agree with you 100%. Like, the fact that he crawled in, so timeline is always skewed in movies. And you always lose the information. Like I said, I'm talking about a buzzsaw. So he took an infrared glow stick, tied a bit of 550 cord, spun in a circle. Helicopters flew over and saw him doing a buzzsaw. And they said, nope, we're not going to go down there to check that out, because at that point in time in the war, the Taliban had figured out buzzsaws, and they were doing the same thing to lure helicopters in, and then they would attack them. Do you remember that in the book?
I don't remember that in the book. I do
Okay,
not
well,
remember that in the book.
he
I remember there being a
it's
lot of things in the book that led me to believe that that entire Operation Red Wing, would have gone a whole bunch of different ways if it had gone any number of different ways. All I'm
yes, but
saying is that, like, you sometimes you get a more accurate story when it's when you don't say that it's inspired by real events or based on a true story, because
well,
ultimately when you do that is you're fucking up the story. Just make something different.
you're not wrong, yeah. So whenever Hollywood gets their hands on a true story, they're gonna Hollywood it up. And I'm sorry off the top of my head, but there's multiple movies out there where you wait till the end of the credits and they say inspired by true events. And people they don't understand that it's got to be Hollywooded up. Otherwise, people aren't going to care because Bill, me and you eating mortars in Balad in '06, nobody cares about that. For us, it's a great story. You know what I mean? But if
Oh
you don't
seven. It
take,
was it was '07. We went in
okay,
'07. Yeah.
I'm sorry. The
It's okay. You got a bunch
concussions.
of shit.
Oh
You got a
seven,
bunch.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the point is me and you, we think it's a great story where we ate tons of stuff. But if you don't Hollywood it up, and when I talk to my wife, if I give her the 1, 2, 3 account as me and you see it, she doesn't understand. But if I'm like 1A, 2C, 3B, she's like, oh my gosh, you did what? So yeah, Hollywood gets their fingers in there to anybody's experiences, and it's no different. Ours, our experiences aren't the extremes by any means. But the special forces guys, they're way more extreme than what we have. But Hollywood still puts their fingers in there and they twist it, and we don't get the full information. And it's up to us as Americans to read the books, watch the movies, do our own independent research, and not take everything as face value. Am I wrong?
You're 100% right. I think that's also part of being a fan, though. Like, it's the same thing with music. If you want to know, if you've got a particular band, who mixed that record, who engineered that record, if you like the album cover, who took that photo, who drew that piece of art, where else can I look at what they've done? And so, like, you have, I guess that's why the fiction is so appealing, is that it's easier to um I don't know, to make more stories one story,
And
if you can take it that way, if that makes any sense at all.
it does, but in my own personal belief, it's not even so much the straight fiction. It's the gray area where you're watching it or you're reading it, and like you're saying how much of this is true and how much of this is fiction. You know what I mean? Because you can read reports about Operation Red Wing, where people went in to save Marcus Luttrell and everything that happened with Lone Survivor, and you go, well, this kind of contradicts what the movies say, and then media and propaganda. So we have to build our own reports and our own beliefs as to what's real and what's not real. My wife's looking at me right now. I can tell my wife says it's not real. Everything I can tell my wife about me and yours build time in Iraq, it's my reality. My reality isn't necessarily your reality, which isn't the military's reality, which isn't my wife's reality. She's pointing at her watch because we're past an hour. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a point of view thing. It's perspective.
Yeah,
It's how
yeah,
you view it.
and God, I'm sorry, but I don't know how we got here because we're talking about the Rambo movies. So how do we get back to those?
I just want to raise one important question before, because I
Yes.
know we're probably hitting the end of this.
I need to be. Yes, I'll give somebody else control if they need it, and you two can continue.
I just have one interesting point. Okay. We all know about C stories and people who blow things out of proportion, but two major examples, which would be at least proven, it would be someone like Chris Kyle, who blatantly lied in his book, not discrediting what he did at all. But,
he said he did some things that would have been really hard for him to do. And like by all
shooting
means,
people from the dome.
From the Superdome. Okay, so there's stuff that, and don't take our word for it. Do your own research and pick your heroes. Do a better job of picking your heroes.
And that's what I guess I'm kind of just, that's a really good way to put it. Pick your heroes. Research and pick your heroes. Don't just go blindly.
Yeah. Oh, freaking the dude from the dude from freaking The Hangover played him, so he has to be like a really honorable guy.
Yeah.
Although it would have been way cooler with Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, 100%.
And that leads.
Honestly, that's more fitting as Zach Galifianakis as a Navy SEAL. It's just big.
So let's talk about that for a second, because one of the things that I'm digging into on streaming service and chill, and a little bit on Woke and Baked, is this idea that because it's going to be a while before we can see movies the way that we're used to seeing them, big budget numbers with lots of people that worked on them. I think sooner rather than later, you're going to have movies as downloadable content, and you're going to be able to replace leads. You're going to be able to take, let's say the movie is Gran Torino, and you want to replace everybody with Kevin Hart.
Kind of like with this deepfake stuff, sort of?
Yes.
Are you talking like with the deepfake?
Like Ron Swanson as everyone in Full House. Yes. I'm talking about just like that. Awesome. But what I mean is like Kevin Smith, let's say it was Kevin Smith and Kevin Spacey in Twins, right? So let's take away all the creepy evil of Kevin Spacey. Now it's Kevin Hart and Kevin Spacey in Twins. And you can make that deep fake movie. Oh, and Danny DeVito is going to have all of the mannerisms of let's make Kevin Spacey the Danny DeVito character, because he's still Kevin Spacey and we can't forget. So Kevin Spacey is the Danny DeVito, like the short fat loser brother, and then Kevin Hart is the cool suave guy. But the actors would, instead of having the mannerisms of Danny DeVito or Arnold Schwarzenegger, they would have the mannerisms of, and because they have so many characters, maybe it could be Kevin Spacey as Kaiser Soze.
Oh shit, that would be pretty cool. I'd be down to see something like that.
Yeah, but you could do that with downloadable content, replacing characters in movies. So I say all of that to say, first to you, Dan, you've got to pick a movie. It can be a franchise or it can be a one-off. You're replacing two characters in that movie with two characters from another movie or actors. And because there's so many celebrities who have been on reality shows, you could do reality shows as well.
Oh my God.
Doesn't it need two characters from the same movie, or can I pick two characters from different movies?
So you could pick, let's say you wanted to do, one of the examples that I used was, if you could replace Ben Kenobi with Dave Chappelle. And because you have Ben Kenobi through so many stages of life, and we have so much footage of Dave Chappelle, we can kind of guess what Dave Chappelle would look like when he's like old Ben Kenobi.
Okay.
I already got mine.
What you got?
Lord of the Rings, the entire trilogy, with Backstreet Boys and NSYNC.
Do they sing? Is it a musical?
No, it's not a musical. I just want to have all their faces and all their like Justin Timberlake will be Frodo or whatever. I mean, we could fill in some extras there. I just think that would, like, the Fellowship, like all 9 of them, I think that would come out to be about 9, NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, right?
9 or 10, yeah.
Yeah.
You got to figure out which one to get rid of. If there's 5 apiece.
I don't know. I just thought that would be hilarious. That would be the ultimate hilarious 9-hour trilogy.
Yeah, what if you made the Spice Girls all the bad guys?
Oh my god, dude! There you go. We take all like the shitty bands and like the big pop groups from the '90s and put them all in Lord of the Rings. That would be epic. That would be epic.
And you make Fred Durst like Schmeagol.
Yeah. Oh my god, we'll put Marilyn Manson in there somewhere. Probably make him like Marilyn Manson might be a good actually.
Yeah, you get rid of
Marilyn Manson could be Gandalf.
No, Marilyn Manson has to be the Liv Tyler character.
Oh shit. The elf chick.
Yes.
Oh yeah. No, listen. I'm telling you right now, if we could, I don't know how to do this, but if we could get like hire deepfake people, I would do it. I'd be in for someone to do this. If we could get like a fundraiser going, maybe pay a deepfake guy. I don't know what would be reasonable, like $5-10 grand. Get this guy in there.
What it would cost. This is what fucks me up about the world that we live in, because I know that there are enough super duper really 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 rich people that if you really wanted to, if you had stupid money to throw around, and there are a lot of people that have stupid money to throw around, why have we not had, or maybe it has happened, like Anderson Silva, UFC Hall of Famer, UFC great Anderson Silva, doing a fight in a living room with freaking Fedor Emelianenko, like the two of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time.
Why not?
Why not? If we've got if me and my super duper evil billionaire friends have that much money, why can't we break one off to a million to Fedor and $1 million to Anderson to make this happen in my living room?
Why not? I bet they could. If you paid someone, listen, I would go there and fight Fedor Emelianenko for a certain amount of money. You pay me 10 grand, dude, I'll fight him. I'll get my ass kicked, but I'll fight him. For 10 grand, that pays off most of my debt. And honestly, I'll do most things for a few $1,000s, honestly.
I'll do a lot less for about $10.
Well, that's because you're cheap. You're a cheap whore. That's why.
PayPal, yo.
No,
PayPal.
you
PayPal
are.
and Venmo. Cash App, baby.
Cash App, baby. Let's go.
So the thing that really sucks, though, like looking at this now, I can't do an OnlyFans.
You know what? You could though. You could if you just think about it. You could make it.
What's the difference between OnlyFans and Patreon?
Well, let me tell you. Okay, I have a couple of them on Instagram, and I follow like a couple porn stars just because, dude. Sometimes it happens. You just hit follow. You don't know why. You're in that mood, and they pop up every now and then. You take a peek, and I mean, dude, they're making insane money, insane amounts of money on fans only. Like, we're talking. I think I was Riley Reid makes $35,000 a day because of fans only. A day. And I would jerk off on camera for that. I would do it. If I was making that much money, I would do it.
I got $15 right now.
I wouldn't stop doing it. I would do that, and I would keep going, and I would
like,
be.
Would your wife be mad?
Not mine or
no.
Bill's.
She'd probably carb load me. Like, don't get tired. Don't get tired.
We need to get you up. Those are rookie numbers, man. We got to pump those up, okay? Dude, we need 16 shoots a day at least. And the content that they put out is all the time, man. It's like these girls must be getting pounded 30 days a week. Like I don't know, like the most intense pound sessions all the time. They must have just no nerve endings down there anymore.
So I have in my back catalog probably about 50 or 60 episodes worth of material that I haven't released, right?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so some of it's good, some of it's not, some of it I'm waiting for the right time. Some of it was stuff that was like really at the beginning of the coronavirus stuff, and people were really panicking, and I didn't release it because I didn't want to feel like I was part of the problem.
Oh,
a lot of conspiracy stuff when it first came out. Which turned out most of it to be true.
Yeah, were you right? You're smart.
Yeah,
man.
yeah, I was right. I was right. I was fucking totally right. I was right about a lot, but I didn't release it because I didn't want to feel like I was profiting off of and pandering to fear.
The misery. Yeah.
I didn't interview any of the dudes at our local gun shops because I didn't want to play a part in that either. Because I didn't want to be a part of like, and now people are stocking up on ammo, whether or not it's true. You know, it is what it is.
So you're not trying to be a mouthpiece for either side necessarily.
No, like that's part of why I'm kind of stepping away from Woke and Baked and diving more into the streaming service and chill, is because like there's a lot of dark shit out there, right?
There's
and
a fuck ton of dark shit.
And if I keep focusing on that, then like a lot of shit stops being fun. And talking to you guys about watching Rambo together is way more fun than rapping about the pedophiles snatching up our kids and what actor that was in a kids movie is, you know, drinking blood. Like it's way cooler to talk about Rambo being a mask for being forced to live in a closeted existence.
And I still don't get that. I still don't get the closeted existence.
So
I'm sorry.
The guy wants dick and he can't get none. He kills a bunch of cops.
So, but why? Because Rambo loves his boys?
Well, because Rambo lived at a time where he couldn't be with anyone who loved him. Okay, Rambo in Rambo 2, he was married. He was married to a Thai lady. Very short time. Yeah, you didn't miss a whole lot.
Yeah.
Okay. His wife got killed. He's shortly married to one lady who then got her ribcage blown up. So he's married to her. That's his only romance in the movie. Then he squeezes through at the very end. He's got a niece. All right. Now a lot of my dad's friends, right? Because my father is he's in multiple programs, right? That are full of people who are looking for help in all kinds of ways. So one of the things that is common in these groups, guys that are in their 60s and 70s, when they're finally alone and not married anymore, finally come out of the closet to be gay men. And so I'm thinking that Rambo lived a closeted existence because he wasn't allowed to be who he wanted to be. He was a warrior through and through. Rambo was a killer, the same way that Alexander the Great and the Spartans, these dudes were extremely gay, but they were very much extremely warriors. And Rambo is one of those dudes. He's part of a long history of alpha males who spell gay with a capital G and a capital A and a big O. Yay! All right. He was just a bad mother lover who wanted to love somebody's father.
So, my wife just came in and she's eating my favorite food, but that's neither here nor there. So what makes an alpha male gay? Because Dan, like I said, I've said this before.
Being gay?
That's it. Just gay. He likes to suck dick.
I think being a homosexual is enough to make you gay.
All right. So we're quick to stereotype the gay profile. Dan, you know me. I have a wife. I have 5 kids. There's a man that I call Glen K. Brott, who, I will not lie, I love to the ends of the world, but I will never do anything homosexual with that man.
Say that.
I don't love him like a brother. I don't love him like a homosexual partner, but I do love Glen K. Brott with everything that I have. And I would do anything all day, every day for him.
What are you trying to say here?
Well, so it's people look at me and Glenn, and
Glenn. If you're gonna throw down your relationship status with the dude, it's got to be Glenn and I. What's great though is like you're from Georgia. You know what else is from? Who else was from Georgia? Glenn from The Walking Dead and his chick. You're basically the hot chick from The Walking Dead.
who had to take her top off and almost get molested by a psychopath.
Some things happen, dude. This is
Yeah, well,
we can't
But
trust me.
she was with Glenn.
But the point is
She got her Glenn.
she did.
people outside of the military, inside of the military, they look at me and Glenn in the way that.
Glenn and I.
God damn it!
Yeah. Yeah. Did you just mic drop it for him? Because I think he just mic dropped it for
He
you.
just karaoke mic dropped it.
Boop. Fuck you.
He just switched mic dropped it.
But the point is so people misinterpret what is love, and they think, oh my gosh, this is homosexuality. Is there a difference between loving a woman as a woman, loving a man as a homosexual man, and just straight up love between you and somebody who you've been through nonsense with, who John J. Rambo went to Vietnam, did all this nonsense with, and he formed a bond that is neither sexual or asexual with his boys, and people are looking at it as a homosexual thing, not just straight up love. What is love? It's
Are you saying like
unconditional.
platonic love, like
Yes.
friend love?
Yes,
versus...
platonic love. But people
gonna go ahead
take
and say he was
platonic
gay.
love and make it okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and
Listen,
say
when he was in those fucking trenches in Vietnam, he sucked dick. That's what I think.
he was lonely. He was lonely. He was from a small. You read through the bio. I read through the bio. He was through some small town shit. Yeah. Rambo
I didn't read the bio. I did not read the bio.
You should
And
read the Wikipedia page. It was
I'm
based
not
on
gonna
a
do that.
book. There's a lot going on there. We're talking about making monsters, man. There's a
Based
lot
on what book? What book? A fictional book? And then I have nothing against homosexuals. Let me get that out there.
I didn't say that.
But
I just said that Rambo.
Neither do we. I don't think Bill or I are saying anything against homosexuality. We're actually standing up for homosexuality.
So am I. But the point is people want to take platonic love and turn it into things it's not. Am I wrong? So you either have to fit into, well, nowadays there's column A, B, C through Z.
Scotty, I think you're missing the point, my guy.
What's
We're not
the
saying
point?
that you can't have platonic love and friendship with a guy and be close with somebody. We're just saying we think John Rambo is repressed.
But how? How do you see that? And I'm not saying you're wrong, but I just don't see it. He showed up.
Listen,
he wanted to eat a hamburger with his boy.
You can't help a blind man see. Okay, we can't help.
If I go to Colorado right now, if I go to Colorado and want to have a hamburger with Glen K. Brought, and some sheriff drives me out of town,
I'm killing everyone. Goddamn,
I'm gonna lose my.
we're all going down.
Well, you guys, you and Glennerson are like good to be married now. I mean, like you could be married because you're married to like a woman, but the fact that she's a woman is irrelevant. The fact that you're married means you couldn't be married to him. However, the great thing about this world is like there is nothing saying that you can't be married to your wife and take Glen K. Brought. Brat is his last name? Okay, I'll have you know Brat is a German sausage. You take that German sausage, that friggin' phallic symbol, Glen's phallic symbol, and you guys can live any way you want. This is America, sir. This is a very libertarian world we live in. If we're honest and true about who we are, it means you're basically Tiger. You're basically the Joe Exotic of going both ways.
And I'll give you that. So yeah, but that's looking at us with the normal day of I can pick up my cell phone and have instant communication with anybody anywhere in the world. Rambo didn't have that. He did not know that everybody was dead. If Bill died today, if Dan died today.
Actually, it'd probably take a while for people to find out about me, though.
Exactly.
It'd be the smell. You'd have to
tomato potato. But if I went all the way to Alaska to see Bill, and I didn't have the instant gratification that is communication in my hand, and some sheriff's like, or I show up and Bill's mom's like, no, he died because of the burn pits in Iraq that me and Bill had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to mess with me because I don't have the instant knowledge of what Bill knows and everything on Facebook. So I go to leave, and some sheriff shows up, and he's like, "Yo, who are you?" I'm like, "Well, I'm Scott Shirley. I was trying to get food with my friend Bill Baker." All right, cool. They don't know who Bill Baker is in the grand scheme of things because not every sheriff can know everything. I wanted to have food with my friend, and I'm now reeling from the fact that I just learned from it, and I don't have all of the world at my fingertips. So I go to leave, and this sheriff is being a dick. And I'm like, I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? I still want to eat, and maybe I want to eat by myself. In my mind, I'm eating with Bill Baker. So he runs me out of town. I'm going to be pissed off, and I'm going to go ham, left or right, one way or another.
Yeah, well, I think it really comes down to the abuse of authority is really what it comes down to. This movie, I mean, the reason why he would have got off on some of the charges, I mean, they were legitimately trying to murder him at a certain point.
Well, from out the gate,
his detention was illegal.
being,
Everything was illegal.
Yes.
Like everything was illegal that they did to this guy. And I guess from the legal sense, I mean, he was illegally detained, which would make the police officer a threat at that point under law.
Yeah.
Under the Constitution. You're allowed to fight back against the police technically if you're being detained or arrested for unlawful reasons.
We're not lawyers.
I am not a lawyer, but I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, Bill. Don't fucking argue. No, but I'm just saying, but like if someone is trying to detain you unlawfully, you should have the right to dispute that, I would say.
And I've watched Law and Order SVU, so I agree. Yeah.
So I'm not saying you should go around.
CSI, David Caruso was there.
Again, once or twice, yeah. Gary
David
Busey.
Caruso said it was true. It must be. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Well, you see where I'm going with this. Like, people want to lump people either homosexual or non-homosexual. Oh, hey, non-homosexual. That's my wife. What's up?
You're a homosexual. I'm just giving you.
My wife just said I'm a homosexual. She's my beard. Glen K. Brott. But you see where I'm going. So in the 80s, we didn't have the homosexual, non-homosexual, transgender, LGBYZAFDF. You know what I'm saying?
We had we totally
alphabet
had
people.
We
yeah,
had,
so
we
they
weren't popular.
We definitely had the alphabet people. They weren't there. They didn't exist the way that we see them now. Like it's not.
Would you say that's a consequence of societal change, or what that is because it's propaganda enforced upon us, though? Because how many people? Because is it more of a fashion statement today to be a part of the LGBTQIA plus whatever?
Yeah,
it's more of a fashion.
Today,
alphabet
today
soup.
No. 6 months ago, a year ago, yeah.
You don't think it's still a fashion statement in a sense?
I'll go fashion statement still, but Bill, go ahead and elaborate.
I think right now what we're looking at is sort of in many ways a kind of a great awakening that people are figuring out who they are, and if people are spending their time on the internet right now, hopefully they're doing it wisely, and they're learning about the things that they should be eating and the things that they should be doing. They should be taking care of themselves, whatever it is, the things that we say we should be doing that none of us are probably doing. Then I think that the idea of being an identity for the sake of popularity is going to be right out of the window. I think that when you're looking at people who looked at an identity as something that was a fashion statement 6 months ago, it's not a fashion statement now. It's right now and in the near future, it's what can you put into the pot? What can you contribute?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I don't know. It's just I agree with in a certain context. It's just it kind of makes me the whole gender situation. I think is it should not be as complicated as it is made. Personally, I think, hey, dude, you want to be a woman? Be a woman. Fuck off. I'm a libertarian. I kind of believe in do what you fucking want, leave me alone, and I'm gonna do what I fucking want. You know, that's kind of how I am. But I think it gets into a dangerous precedence when you are talking about children being exposed and being like Dwayne Wade's kid's 8 years old or 10 years old and saying that he's a woman. And I think there's normalizing that type of stuff at such a young age is interesting to me.
Well, I think that right now we're not talking about that, right? We're if we're talking about kids and transgender, that's not a conversation, not for Rambo.
Definitely not for Rambo.
Not for
Definitely
Rambo.
not
If
for
we're
Rambo.
talking about
good point.
adult homosexuality, if we're talking about adult transgender in the military, we can talk about. There's a Navy SEAL whose name escapes me. He became a she.
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Look into it. But there is a historical precedent for all that. There is a historical precedent for homosexuality in the military, especially in the warrior class.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
big probably for forever, right?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the Romans.
More probably in the history of it than not in the history of it.
Absolutely, I would agree.
Yes.
So
I'm with you.
It is what it is. So if there have always been gays in the military, then there have probably always been transgenders in the military. My question is, and I've been out for a few years, and you guys would probably be better to answer this than I. It becomes a question more of military readiness. If you cannot deploy because you have this medical condition and this medical condition and this medical condition, and I don't know what they're separating people for at this point, but if they're separating people because they're non-deployable, well, if you deploy to a place where you're not able to regularly get your hormone treatments or medications, or maybe you have to take them with you and pack them all at once, I don't have those answers. So if you are taking hormones, does it make you non-deployable? And if it makes you non-deployable, does that put you in the same category as somebody who can't deploy because they have bad knees, or because they have sleep apnea, or because of whatever it is that's keeping them from deploying? I don't know.
Dan, any thoughts before I run with this? Or
I'm just gonna say, I think coordinating mental health and sexuality together is a dangerous precedence. But the only time is when it comes down to non-consenting adults. I'll just say that much. I'm not going to get into it. I think you guys get what I'm saying. But as far as any other sexuality, as long as it's two of mind consenting adults, I don't personally care. And if it is, the military is a discriminatory place to even get in. It discriminates very hard to get in. What do they say? Less than 3% of the 4% of the population could serve due to physical.
One reason or another, yeah.
Yeah, one reason or the other. So I don't think it's necessarily, if you're in the military, you're serving your country and you're able to perform your job, I don't give a fuck what you look like, what you do, personally. That was just me.
I agree. There was a young man recently, a Sikh gentleman who went through basic training in tech school with his.
Yeah, he gets to wear his turban and has a beard.
I'm all about it. My question then becomes, is the military readiness issue? And that's one that I don't know how to answer, because it's not anything that I would ever have to answer.
I would, Scotty, before you go, I'm going to say no, because we're talking such a low number of people within the community that are actually going to be transitioning and be doing those things. I mean, we're literally talking about single digits.
I know one. I know one male to female. She was services, and she was probably one of the last people kicked out of the Air Force for gender dysmorphia. Now,
so she did get kicked out for it.
She did get kicked out.
Wow.
And now she's a full-on she. And hey, anytime you want to podcast with her, we can ask her,
yeah, that'd be great. I would love it.
She did drag and all that. That's how I met her. I met her through a chick I was dating. It was her best friend, and she was doing a little bit of drag at the time. But now she's she's
active.
Yeah, now she's she's a chick. She's a chick. She's very much a girl. She looks.
Yeah.
She's looking mad Nelly Furtado-ish.
Hey, I mean, it is what it is. There's Scotty and I both know a person who's transitioned.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Oh, I've
Yeah.
I've known a few. And happy people don't shoot up movie theaters.
And that's true. That is an
Just
accurate statement.
as a
Sir.
general rule. If you can
Yes.
do the job that you've got to do the job you've got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't see the correlation between mental health and sexuality on every single front. Body dysmorphia, it's been proven that bodybuilders can have it.
Mhm.
Body dysmorphia is something like they don't feel like they're big enough. They don't feel like their muscles are defined enough. So they have to work out harder and harder. That is a form of body dysmorphia. You don't see dudes getting kicked out of the military because they want to get fucking ripped.
But you can see guys
or a
get kicked
female
out.
have a bigger ass.
You see guys get kicked out of the military because they can't pass PT tests because they're too big.
That's true. That's true. And there's also other disorders, though, that at least state bipolar disorder. I know a dude who's still active has bipolar disorder, proven, clinical, allowed to stay in. He has to take his medication. But I think we would all know people that has a varying degree of mental health issues that are still serving our nation today.
Yeah.
And I think they should be allowed to serve within certain capacities.
Agreed. Yeah. Got
That's just
nothing.
me.
Nah. Hey, I get it. Rambo would have. John Jay would have been a much happier public servant nowadays.
Oh, yeah. He would have had no PTSD because he's getting all the D that he needs. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? He'd be good to go.
All
That was
right.
pretty good. Thank you.
So the next film, I gotta tell you what I'm watching right now. Hobbs and Shaw.
Okay,
That's what-
Fast and Furious.
Not quite.
Well, the runoff.
Yeah, no, I get it, but it's a whole different experience.
So, how far are you into it right now?
I just touched down in the Rock's homeland.
Okay, because I've started it, but I never got to finish it. I just never got back to finishing it.
Finish it,
okay.
And we'll discuss it maybe tomorrow.
Hey, I'm down. I'm down for tomorrow.
I have to go and watch Hobbs and Shaw right now.
Calvin and Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah, Calvin and Hobbs.
I've read a lot of Calvin and Hobbs, so I'm back.
Yeah, this movie would have been a lot better. It would have been a lot better if you'd have replaced Hobbs. By the way, Hobbs is The Rock's character.
Yeah,
and if you replace The Rock with Calvin,
so
from Calvin and Hobbs.
How do you guys get so into these movies? I mean, I'm going south with this, but how do you guys get into these?
What, into movies?
Yeah, all of them.
They're reflections of our souls.
How?
I don't know. Go watch a Paul Thomas Anderson movie and tell me if you don't feel something after watching it. I don't know.
A, I don't know who that is. B,
some movies are better than others, right? So some movies are better than others. But they're all a if you think of your time as the ultimate currency, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then some movies are worth your time, some movies aren't. The key, I think, with something like this is being able to shit on it all the same. Like if it's good or if it's bad, to give it this, if we're going to praise a movie, to give it the same energy shitting on it that we would if we really liked it. Like if we're going to shit on a movie, let's enthusiastically shit on it. Just be honest with your feelings with it.
I will give you that. So, like I said, I watched the first Rambo last night, and I was all about it.
Scotty, how much have you had to drink, bro? What?
Enough. I've had enough. But no. Going back to movies because I'm not a huge movie guy.
All right. Listen, Scotty, I'm gonna do you a favor.
Stop me.
Rambo, First Blood.
Yes. Great.
Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Would you watch it again?
Would you recommend someone else watch it?
There we go.
Someone who's never seen it to watch it.
Yes. Well, depending on their age, yes.
Okay. All right. What about Rambo Last Blood? So
No.
you're gonna say no. You would not recommend it.
I would never watch it again.
Well, there you go.
Okay.
I would recommend both, but for different reasons.
Because
I'm gonna
of our
go
life
for different
experiences.
No, I would say Rambo First Blood is more of a artistic,
It's an
choice.
artistic action movie.
Yeah, like there is actual substance there. Rambo Last Blood is like, dude, do you want to just watch fucking some old guy beat the shit out of people? It's
And
awesome.
You
Like,
guys
go
saw
check it out.
at 32 minutes, I sent you guys a photo of my face, like when he
Yeah.
snapped the guy's collarbone out of his socket.
Oh, dude, it's so sick. Dude,
Yeah.
when he gets the hammer and he just farts, what? And
So
not
that-
to mention, he does the whole cave thing for the last
The tunnels.
35 minutes. It's
Yeah,
so,
so-
great.
Which
So
I
great.
did not like, and there's so
How
many.
did you not like? How did you not like that?
the
Okay.
explosives and the detonations?
Okay, listen, I know,
Okay,
dude. Listen,
okay.
I was thinking the same thing.
So many Hollywoodisms. All right, cool. If I want to turn my brain off and maybe eat a pot cookie, which I've never had, that's an amazing film. But
It's fun.
I can't turn my brain off enough to be like,
You can't just forget about it and just go, this is fucking awesome. He just took a sawed off double barrel shotgun to this guy's fucking head and it turned into mush.
A bad guy,
'cause-
a really bad guy, like a
a
cartel
really
bad
bad
guy.
he fired 3 rounds out of that double barrel with no clear indication of reloading.
No, dude,
And
he's
that-
got fast reload unlocked. Have you not watched fucking or played COD? He's got fast reload unlocked. It's okay. Extra shot, final death or something. I don't know.
So just so we're
point
clear,
is,
a few
I'm the
during
type of
the
people-
fourth Rambo shooting, Sylvester Stallone got popped with roids. So if you don't think that this Rambo is also taking a supplement, you're fucking stupid.
Oh my God.
All right. So Rambo,
He actually takes El Jefe. No,
yeah, when he's fighting the cartel, he's taking El Jefe, and he's getting juiced to the tits.
actually, he's taken Sicario, and while also blowing people up with some bomba. You know
With
what I'm
bomba.
saying, guys? We getting
If I'm-
shit done. We getting shit
if I'm
done.
fighting the cartel, I'm gonna put everything I can in my system. I don't care at that point. I'm doing what I can.
And he was.
But
He
Remember,
was.
remember the big. I'm just saying, slight sidetrack. Remember the beginning of Predator 2 when that dude takes the handful of cocaine?
You're talking
and
about
shoves
Gary-
it?
Yeah.
Like that would be me.
And then he gets killed by the predator. So you're
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's-
Danny Glover. You're the guy who dies. Bill's Gary Busey.
Hey, it's all good.
Sometimes we
I-
all need a little bit of Gary Busey in our lives.
But
Yeah.
if you got to go in with Rambo Last Blood with open eyes and just understand that a gay man is finally just getting revenge on all these straight rapists, horrible people, and it's
And-
excellent. But it's actually excellently that whole there's a last scene. Spoiler alert, we've already been going over it, but that tunnel scene is so well executed from a cinematic standpoint.
And
It's really
yes.
easy to follow, and
Yes.
it's beautiful, and I love seeing these fuck dudes. These
and
hired
I will-
guns just getting taken out. It made my day.
I will give you that final tunnel kill scene where he's going through all the different traps that he set up, and
Yeah.
he did X, Y, and Z. I looked at my wife multiple times, and I was like, and then the thing I was waiting for is when he put it looked like 50 cal rounds, possibly 7.62 in the dirt, and they shot up in the guy's foot. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was waiting for. And then when that went off, me and my wife were both like, that's it. But tomato potato, yeah, that was a very well done scene. I enjoyed seeing a man, possibly homosexual man, murk a whole bunch of Mexican pedophile child dealing people. I enjoyed that.
Yeah,
I was excited to
is-
see a bad
Yeah.
man do bad things to bad guys. That was great.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Like he
Yeah.
accepts his darkness because that's what
And-
the whole point of the movie is. He's like been trying to almost hide it and live this false life in a way, and he found some peace in there.
guy.
And
Yeah, I'm the god that did it. Did you wait? Hold on. Quick question, just so you guys know, and if you didn't know, that there is the unrated version, the unrated extended version on Amazon Prime for free as well.
of
So
what?
you can. It's an hour and
HBO.
41 minutes. No. It's on Amazon Prime. You can watch the regular theatrical cut or the extended cut on Amazon
Okay.
Prime.
How much longer
And
is the extended cut?
11 minutes, but it's worth it because I watched
You just wasted
both.
11 minutes of my life.
I watched both.
So I'm plugged
I
into
was,
the extended version right now. That was what I was restarting on. How much? Like, where's the extra 11 minutes?
I was just gonna come to more graphic stuff, more violence. That's
God
really
bless
where it comes
America.
from. Nothing. And there's a beginning. The beginning where he saves a bunch of people in a flood. Like if you know, that's
What?
another different. Yeah, it's in the. It's
Is
only
he
in the
Jonah?
extended cut.
Is
He
Rambo
is,
Jonah?
and there's a
Jonah
whale,
Rambo?
and there's a whale. It's in Miami, but in Texas. It's good. It's good.
He was in
One of them
Arizona.
I
Texas
thought the
whales.
extended cut.
They got a SeaWorld in Texas.
I thought it was. They do have a SeaWorld in Texas, and Blackfish is an interesting documentary. Definitely should check that out.
All right, boys. I need to start wrapping this one up. So,
All right.
All right. So you would recommend it for different reasons. You would recommend the two movies for different reasons. Scotty, you recommend the first,
Yep.
not the last one. And I am going to
Correct.
say the first one, emphatically, definitely go see it. The second one is also very good and worth watching. But the first one is worth watching with multiple viewings.
Exactly. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And Scotty, go fuck yourself because The Last Blood is awesome. It's awesome in its own way. And you just need to accept it and love it because you hate LGBTQIA people. And that's your own fault, not ours.
Excuse me? I hate who now? Do you
I
wanna
would
go?
have liked to see I want to see Stallone in a Tarantino movie now.
Oh my God.
Ooh,
dude. I agree with
genius.
that.
Yes, I
That
will
was
get behind that.
dude,
100%.
that was a real moment that we just had. And I connected. Like
Yeah.
we docked.
Check out Hobbs and Shaw and remember it's PG-13.
It's PG-13. Okay. I will do that.
But that's another
Alright.
conversation for another day. Like movies that
is.
are PG-13 that should not be PG-13.
It is.
Alien
it is.
versus
It's
Predator
a conversation. It is definitely
Yeah.
what? Aliens versus Predator? Oh shit! It was PG-13. Yeah, that's
all
what
of
made
them
it
were.
suck.
Yeah.
It would have been a great R-rated movie.
And we can do that another day. Point
Let's
is,
do it.
I had a good time, boys. We should figure this out again. We can do another movie. Maybe I'll pick the next movie, and you guys can just deal with it.
No one wanted to watch Dear Zachary. That's just depressing as fuck, but it's worth it.
It's The Notebook, you son of a bitch.
Troop Zero. What?
Yeah. I'm down to watch whatever. Listen, guys, I don't care. To me, it don't matter. I love watching movies. So,
But
Well,
no, this is a good time. Bill,
Jim
let's wrap it up.
Gaffigan is in Troop Zero, ladies and gents, and others. Just saying. All right, we'll
I'm
figure it
down.
out very, very soon.
heck
Gentlemen, you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
yeah. Hey, you too.
All right, Scotty, Dan,
Always.
stay beautiful.
Yes,
I
sir.
love you, boys.
Love you
All
too.
right.